Hello, everybody. It's Philip Lee returning with another episode of Civil War Chat. It's now Saturday, the 21st of, the 13th of March, 2021. Click on the notification bell on the upper right if you'd like to be notified of future episodes. So today's topic is faulty memories, and let me get started. When historians search for information concerning what really happened, they prefer documents written at the same time as the events being researched or when those events happened. They want documents that were written at the time those events happened. Prime examples during the Civil War are contemporary letters and diaries. Official battle reports are also primary, but sometimes less respected because the commanders often had a motive to put the best interpretation on their performance, particularly when they failed. Era specific newspapers are also suspect because of a possible underlying editorial bias. Some of the newspapers during the Civil War on both the North and the South were so biased, they came near approaching the bias of the New York Times and the Washington Post of today. Most suspect of all, however, are the recollections written years after the war. But unfortunately, modern academia teaches their students to be particularly suspect of Confederate sources, whether they be contemporary or postbellum. Robert Crick, who was the Fredericksburg Battlefield Park historian for decades before retiring about 10 years ago, cites a revealing incident. Incidentally, Crick is from California. He's not from the South. One Ohio student who had attended a number of Robert's lectures wrote an honors paper for his teacher back home in which he reported that the aurora borealis appeared the night after the Battle of Fredericksburg, even though it was rarely visible at that latitude, so far south. When the teacher read that the student's sources, when he read the student's sources for this, he marked the paper down a grade. He told the student that the student must not accept Confederate sources. The teacher reasoned that Southerners were citing the aurora borealis because they wanted some kind of a celestial sign that God was on their side. Southerners, he implied, were prone to such simple-minded fantasies, unlike Northerners. The aurora borealis, proclaimed the teacher, was surely never visible as far south as Virginia. The student emailed Crick for help. Crick responded by providing examples of soldier letters from Rhode Island and Connecticut regiments that presumably convinced the teacher that the Northern Lights had actually appeared on the battlefield, since the letters were from Yankee soldiers, and they were the ones testifying to it. Like the Ohio teacher, most modern historians are more likely to accept as valid any remarks by Northern leaders, even among their postbellum writings. Consider Ulysses Grant's remark about Confederate General Braxton Bragg in Ulysses Grant's memoir, written 20 years after the war. Here's what he wrote. I have heard in the old army, meaning the US Army before the Civil War, of an anecdote very characteristic of Bragg. Once, when stationed at a post of several companies commanded by a field officer, he was himself commanding one of the companies and simultaneously acting as post quartermaster. He was first lieutenant at the time, but his captain was on detached duties elsewhere. As company commander, he made a requisition upon the quartermaster himself for something he wanted. As quartermaster, he declined to fill the requisition and endorsed on the back of it his reasons for doing so. As company commander, Bragg responded to this, urging that his requisition called for nothing but what he was entitled to, and that it was the duty of the quartermaster, meaning Bragg, to fill it. As quartermaster, Bragg still persisted that he was right. After Bragg referred the whole matter to the commanding officer of the entire post, The latter studied the correspondence and exclaimed, "My God, Mr. Bragg, you have quarreled with every officer in the Army, and now you are even quarreling with yourself," close quote. It turns out that Grant's memoir, written 20 years, again, 20 years after the war and 9 years after Bragg had died and was therefore unable to defend himself, Grant's memoirs are the only source for that so-called anecdote. Nonetheless, it is often repeated in many books concerning an evaluation of Bragg's personality. Most recently, General David Petraeus used it just 9 months ago in a prominent Atlantic magazine article in which he argued that no Army bases, including Fort Bragg, should be named for Confederate generals. For those of you that are interested in the truth, be aware that objective historians Frank Varney, in his General Grant in the Rewriting of History, and Joseph Rose in Grant Under Fire, have recently published those two books, revealing many of the lies and fantasies and falsehoods in Grant's memoirs that have taken on the status of holy gospel among most academic historians. This kind of one-sided interpretation of the Civil War is just characteristic of what's going on in our society today. So let me urge you, there's a couple of things you can do if you want to help protect Confederate memory and Confederate monuments. If you like this video, share it. Just share it. The more that this kind of information gets out, the better it is for Confederate memory. I don't care if it's me. I just want the Confederate memory once again respected and given its proper credit. If you read other articles or see other videos that support your point of view and that you think do a good job of it, please share them. Share them. We need distribution. Now, I also want to point out, I like one of the podcasters I like is not really related to the Civil War. It's more an anti totalitarian podcast opposing the left-wing totalitarianism that is overtaking our society today, by Andrew Klavan. And he makes this point, and it's encouraging. During moral panics like the Salem witch trials or McCarthyism or even the current wokeness, the accusers think they are the heroes. Those accusing our Southern ancestors as evil, those accusers think they are the heroes. But after the panic passes, they are villains forever after. And that will happen this time too. Yes, those that accused women during the Salem witch trials of being witches, they were the accusers and they consider themselves to be the heroes. But now we know what they were. They are the villains, and they will stay that way ever after. I think we're going to see something like that happen here with respect to the accusers of Confederate memory. It's so one-sided. It's so narcissistic. It's so presumptuous that people of this day and that persuasion are morally superior to people of an earlier age. People are people. It is a great mistake that human nature today is any better than human nature at an earlier time. All I can see from these people that promote this anti-Confederate memory doctrine is narcissism, selfishness, and an intense desire for power and a focus on themselves, a lack of respect for tradition, a lack of respect for the people that helped bring this country to where it is today. It's all about themselves. If this kind of message you think is important to spread, please, again, share the video. Now, what you can also do is, if you want to learn more about Grant and the lies in his Grant's memoirs, U.S. Grant's Failed Presidency by Philip Lee. $20 at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookstores. If you want an autographed copy, it's $25 from me. I will send it to you postage free here in the United States for that amount. But you must contact me, Phil, PHIL _ Leigh, LEIGH at me.com. Okay, that's my show for today, and thanks for watching.